Did you ever see the movie Casablanca? Same thing, except no Nazis.
Oh.
A pair of operatives from a mysterious agency who oversee aliens that are living among us.
Everyone on those screens is an alien.
Their main reason for being is to hide the fact that aliens live among us, otherwise we'd lose our tiny little minds.
That guy's definitely an alien.
You don't like it? You can kiss my furry little butt.
Men in Black.
Is this freaking you out?
Nah. Nah, girl.
Men in Black, first released in 1997, was a science fiction comedy starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones, where the pair walk around in identical black suits and ties and wipe people's memories of any alien encounter with their neuralizers. A device to wipe people's memories might seem far-fetched, but they've never had lunch with my old roommate Malcolm, because once he starts up with his accountancy anecdotes, you are pretty much guaranteed not to remember anything after he says the word depreciation. There had long been urban legends about mysterious men in black, enigmatic men who would wear black suits and drive black cars, who would show up whenever somebody claimed to have had an encounter with a UFO or aliens. Their job would be split equally between gaslighting a witness or intimidating them into being quiet about their experience. So, I guess they must recruit a lot of men in black from human resources. Men in Black were a thing that nobody seemed to see, but somebody had heard about them from someone else who had it on good authority from someone who'd overheard a conversation in a bar about the time when this dude had had a friend who knew of a neighbour's uncle who'd had a visit from one of these guys, and, well, it just spirals out from there. Lowell Cunningham used the Men in Black legend as the basis of a comic book first published in 1990, a comic that would be loosely adapted into the movie we're talking about today. I mean, you understood that was the case, right?
I'm part of a bureau that licenses, monitors, and polices alien activity on the planet Earth.
Agent K and his partner D intercede in a border patrol operation when one of the suspects turns out to be an alien hiding out. When the operation goes wrong, D decides he's had enough of being a man in black and yearns to be a man in a Hawaiian shirt. James Edwards is a detective for the NYPD. One day a perp he's chasing down seems to have 19 lives, and when Edwards finally caught up to him, things got weird.
Yeah, he said the world was coming to an end.
Did he say when?
He's visited by Agent K, who's impressed that Edwards could catch up with this particular suspect and gives him a business card. Edwards arrives at a location for testing with a group of military officers, where his thinking outside of the box gets him a job offer.
She about to start some shit, Zed.
K thinks Edwards has what it takes, though his boss, Zed, isn't so sure.
Let's hope you know what you're doing.
The Men in Black were formed in the 50s, tasked with looking for aliens, something that finally happened in 1961, at an event witnessed by a young man who got lost on his way to a date, but instead he would become Agent K. He'd have to put his past life aside to become a man in black.
The catch is, you will sever every human contact. Nobody will ever know you exist anywhere.
I dig. I once joined Men in Plaid, a polka band, and when you joined a polka band, nobody knew before you joined the polka band wants anything to do with you.
And that weak-ass story is the best you can come up with.
The Men in Black have no ties. Well, they do have ties, but aside from neckwear, they cease to have any links to their old lives.
Is it worth it?
Oh yeah, it's worth it.
J becomes the latest agent of the agency, where their job is to monitor aliens on Earth, to see that they don't get out of line, and more importantly, to not let the public at large know that any of this is going on.
Who are you?
I am just a figment of your imagination.
In upstate New York, a small alien saucer crashes into Edgar's truck, and when he goes to investigate, well, he's just worn out, literally. An alien bug now wears Edgar's skin as ready-to-wear couture. He kills an exterminator, loads his spaceship onto the dead man's van, and drives away. The aliens in New York are on edge. They know something's up, and many of them are quietly making their way off the planet. 2 men are mysteriously killed in a restaurant, and their autopsies reveal some oddness, such as one of them having a little alien inside that uses the body as a daily driver. Also, Dr. Lauren Weaver at the morgue does have some timing issues when it comes to appropriate times to use her best pickup lines.
He said to prevent war, the galaxy is on Orion's belt.
One of the dead men was a prince of an alien empire, and his people send a battleship to Earth where they give the Men in Black an ultimatum. The problem is nobody knows what the hell a galaxy is. Edgar also wants whatever this galaxy is, so there's that conflict between the alien death cruiser and a giant cockroach wearing a human skin. Edgar's lost his ship, so he wants an alternative way to leave the planet, which just happens to be a leftover from the World's Fair, which was an actual flying saucer.
So these are real flying saucers, and the World's Fair was just a cover-up for their landing.
Why else would we hold it in Queens?
It's not so easy to deal with Edgar, especially when he turns into a giant bug that swallows their weapons, and Kay.
Too late.
When all is said and done and Edgar has been dealt with, Kay decides he's had enough.
I've just been down the gullet of an interstellar cockroach, kid. That's one of 100 memories that I don't want.
I totally dig. I'm having flashbacks to when I worked at the truck stop and my boss would hand me a toilet plunger after the lunchtime rush. And let's just say there were many days where I would have killed to have been neuralized when my shift ended.
Sure you don't want some coffee?
The Men in Black get a style makeover with new suits for Jay and his offsider, L. And because it's the 1990s, it's time to cue Will Smith's tie-in song. Men in Black is a really enjoyable way to spend an evening. It's one of those franchise-launching films where none of the follow-ups would eclipse this film for sheer perfection in terms of just everything coming together nicely. It's a tight film running at just under 100 minutes and is almost perfectly paced. It is rare that a film that needs so much exposition doesn't drag just a little in places, but Men in Black is very efficient at conveying its plot. Of course, it's a fairly simple plot, but it all ties together very well. This is a film that's just, in a few words, a hell of a lot of fun. Lowell Cunningham's comic was the sort of thing that lent itself to a movie adaptation, and the rights were quickly snapped up by producers Walter F. Parks and Laurie MacDonald, with Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment as the production company. Writer Ed Solomon was given the job of turning a fairly dark comic into a lighter summer movie.
We're not hosting an intergalactic kegger down here.
Barry Sonnenfeld had been a cinematographer on several Coen Brothers movies in the 80s, and for films like When Harry Met Sally and Misery. He'd moved over to directing features with the two early 1990s Addams Family films, where his eye for the quirky and the grotesque did not overshadow the comedy. He would turn out to be the perfect director for a film that mixed comedy and special effects.
Is that letter?
Will Smith was not quite the first choice for the role of Jay, but it was possibly the last time that he wasn't the first choice for a role for a very long time. Will Smith had already starred in the massive hits Bad Boys and Independence Day, and so Men in Black gave him the chance to perfect his stock-and-trade character, the wise-ass hero.
You know what the difference is between you and me? I make this look good.
In Men in Black, Jay is always just on the edge of understanding what's going on, but also not all that far off not having a single clue about anything. Look, there are clueless people in every profession. I once went to a very clueless hypnotist to help me quit my nicotine gum addiction, and while he cured me of that, my subsequent intake of Elmer's school glue was nothing to sniff at.
Series 4, deatomizer.
That's what I'm talking about.
Noisy crickets.
Jay spends much of the film as a rookie, where all of his finely honed cop instincts seem to mean nothing, and as such, he has to endure every patronizing nickname from Kay and his boss, Zed.
And I don't want nobody calling me son or kid or sport or nothing like that, cool?
Cool, whatever you say, Slick.
By the end of the film, though, Jay knows what's what, who's who, and more importantly, who's what. Tommy Lee Jones had been around for a long time, but everybody suddenly knew his name after The Fugitive, a role for which he'd won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. He had appeared as Two-Face in Batman Forever, a role in which he mugged and gurned like somebody who'd mistaken a barbecue for a bar stool, yet he disliked his co-star Jim Carrey, telling him that he could not sanction his buffoonery. As a serious actor appearing in a summer blockbuster full of effects, Tommy Lee Jones is perfect as Kay, the weary, seen-it-all man in black. Kay was somebody so unshockable that he could easily perform electrical work with wet hands. Note, please do not perform electrical work with wet hands. As a man in black, he had given up his life, but Kay still pines for his old girlfriend, leading to him quitting Man in Blacking at the end of the film. Linda Fiorentino was Laura, somebody who's apparently been neuralized more times than I've had hot meals. Of course, if I had been neuralized, I wouldn't necessarily know, so perhaps I've had even more hot meals than I can... What was I saying?
That thing is gonna give her brain cancer or something.
Never heard her before.
Rip Torn was the hard-assed head Man in Black Zed, who's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, but would it have killed them to bring in a part-time massage therapist on Tuesdays and Thursdays?
Humanoid.
You wish. Bring a sponge.
Vincent D'Onofrio played the disfigured Edgar, where most of his scenes had him made up so that his skin didn't quite fit properly, and it's a role that could have easily been dull and by the numbers, but Edgar turns out to be one of the more memorable antagonists from late 90s movies.
You don't matter. In fact, in a few seconds you won't even be matter.
There are also smaller roles for Tony Shalhoub, David Cross, and John Grise.
You do know Elvis is dead, right?
No, Elvis is not dead. He just went home.
Men in Black had a lot of special effects, where the creatures are a mix of practical work makeup, puppets and CG, all of which really fits together well for most of the film. Rick Baker and crew created a number of impressive makeup effects and animatronic puppets for the various aliens. ILM would handle other visual effects and the computer graphics for Men in Black. There are times where it's very hard to tell where the puppets ended and the CG begins, which of course is optimal.
Hire a decorator to come in here quick, cause damn.
Men in Black is a film where the story was changed significantly during production. Early drafts had action set in locations all over the country, while the final film sets the bulk of the action in and around New York. The original ending was considered by Sonnenfeld to be not all that climactic, a verbal standoff between Edgar and Jay.
Big bad bug got a bit of a soft spot, huh?
The director felt an adventure film needed, well, adventure at the end, and so the film was rewritten to have a bigger, more action-oriented ending, despite that adding several $1 million to the film's budget. During post-production, it was felt that parts of the plot were quite extraneous. As filmed, there were vessels from two opposing alien empires, with Edgar's bug aliens waiting to feast on the resultant carnage.
They consume, infest, destroy, live off the death and destruction of other species.
This was cut down with a bit of judicious editing. 3 scenes had their audio changed, there were some new computer screens, and some lip-syncing for Frank the Pug was reworked to follow the new dialogue, less than 2 months before the film was due to open. Apparently though, this was buffoonery that could be sanctioned by Tommy Lee Jones.
Beautiful.
Before things really kicked off, scenes of the Men in Black going about their jobs were often played like a lighter version of something like The French Connection, but at no point does Kay ever ask an alien whether they ever picked any of their 12 feet in Poughkeepsie. Danny Elfman composed a great score, easily one of the most memorable of the era, but it's also one of the most cribbed from scores of the 90s. Of course, this is a film where Will Smith's tie-in song, Men in Black, was a really big draw. This was the era where Will Smith's music was as much a part of the late 90s as Beanie Babies, trying to show your grandparents how to use email and then trying to stop them from sending very large sums of money through international wire transfers.
Meet the twins, and Bob.
Sony obviously thought Men in Black was going to be a huge success, and they'd already had an animated series ready to go by the end of 1997, but I don't think they knew quite how big it was going to be. Even in the year of Titanic, Men in Black was still the 3rd highest grossing movie of the year. Now, of course, it's easy to say that Titanic made so much money that the next highest grossing film could in theory have just been a total flop. Such was the amount of money that Titanic diverted from other films. Men in Black was still a very big hit and would see several sequels. Men in Black 2 would come in 2002, a film that would bring back Tommy Lee Jones, but would also feel a film that was kinda slapped together. And no, that is not a backhanded reference to Chris Rock. Men in Black 3 would eventually appear in 2012 and was more of a return to form. Men in Black International didn't have either Smith nor Jones and was quickly forgotten about like my homemade neuralizer combo, gin and accountancy.
I'm having the strangest feeling of deja vu.
Yeah, me too.
Sonnenfeld would direct Men in Black 2 and 3, but first he would make another similar film with Will Smith, the much maligned at the time but latterly loopily loved Wild Wild West, for which no amount of gin or accounting anecdotes will suffice. The first Men in Black is an almost perfect 90s science fiction comedy action adventure film. It's got a snappy and funny script, fun characters, great performances, a level of goofiness that never quite becomes silly, and it has some excellent special effects. It's 98 minutes of your life that you won't regret. Unless, of course, you have food poisoning at the time of watching it, in which case nobody can help you with that.
We are the Men in Black.
If you enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe, leave a comment below, or check out some of our other videos.
Hey, Kay, have you ever flashy thing me?
No.
I ain't playing with you, Kay. Have you ever flashy thing me?
No.